So apparently, oh, by the way, good evening. Apparently I've got my sound wrong again. Is that true? I've got the mic on. You tell me if the levels are all out of whack again. Fine for splat. You're about to get an ear blasting. I hope not. Is the yeah, I've got it up pretty much exactly as it was before. And so begins the usual 4 or 5 minutes of shenanigans for us all to get our sound in line. Yeah, interesting. Crazy. Crazy. Alright, let's flip over to the best view in the house. My face. Not really. I should actually have a cowbell or something for a stream, shouldn't I? I got a fever. The only medicine, well, the only prescription is more cowbell. Boosted locally, so it's better. Okay, cool. Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining me. I hope you have your teas ready. I have my oolong this evening. No dark chocolate, because probably eaten a bit too much chocolate recently. But cheers to you with your teas and coffees and beverages. Couple of things of note. Apologies for missing out in the last couple of weeks. So 2 weeks ago I was down in Sydney for a few days, and then last week I got sick. So I don't know whether to blame my kids or Rick, because Rick was sick when I saw him. I think I might blame both, but for the sake of this discussion we'll say it's Rick's fault. I think ooh, lemongrass and ginger, that's one of my missus' favourites. So sorry about that. I apologise for being off stream for a few weeks. It was not by choice, more so out of necessity. But thanks for joining in. I'm going to have to work hard to remember where we even got to. Did the music just die, or is it... Oh no, here we go. I also changed it so that the music that's being played is being posted in the chat. So if you guys are keen to know the exact song that's playing and you want to have a link directly to it, you should see it in the chat, as well as there. Oh, my finger's gone just in there below the picture. So anyway, where are we? Where are we at? Yeah, so I hope you guys are all well. You didn't miss me too much. As you probably noticed, I got a little bit burnt. You see the tan line? Standing out at a soccer carnival all day on Saturday, and I had a shirt on very similar to this, and I got absolutely fried. So I have a programmer tan from the neck down, and now my face is really, really red. Classic note. Ooh, got a new follower. Matty Sec has followed. Thank you very much for the follow. It's nice to have you on board. So does everyone remember where we got to? Because I can't remember. Man, there's a lot of people having kitchens ripped out at the moment. Malty is having his done. Ozjock's having his done. Seems like everyone's having the renos happening. So how many we got? We got 12 on at the moment. A bunch of other people in chat. So, you guys have any questions or anything you want to chat about before we kick off? Or should we just dive straight in? As Arebus is in as well, greetings. Pomir. Everyone start throwing the insults around. This is where they belong. Okay. Let me just flip open the VMs and I'll get rid of my ugly mug so that you guys can see it. Where is it? I had one of those scary moments where Streamlabs OBS updated itself and I thought, oh man, here we go. It's unbelievable. I probably do pay him too much. Alright, here we go. So this is effectively where we got to last time. We were filling out the last of the file system related functionality in standard API. And we fought against not much for once, which is actually really nice. So, ooh, Bitwise is cheering. Thank you, sir. Did you spot a typo already? Usually that's what they're for, right? Cheers, Bitwise. Lovely to have you back, mate. Yeah, so we kind of padded out the rest of the file system related functionality except for the search. which was odd because by memory we needed to support FS search as a, where is it? FS search as a feature of Meterp for the standard directory listing to work, which is a little bit strange. But we did do a fair bit. We were able to move files around and do hashes and things like that. So that was good. Made some progress, made some mess. So I think what I want to do to start with is perhaps change a couple of things up, because there are a couple of things that I've done that I'm really not proud of. First one is this. Now remember, I added this Pokemon pattern thing here so that we could effectively try and execute a piece of code and gobble the exception. And I called it Pokemon, and I attached it to a method, as a extension method on objects of any type, which is pretty awful. I'm not gonna lie. So what I'd like to do instead is change this so that it's actually not part of any old object, but instead is sort of part of a namespace that it really belongs in. So rather than leave it as an extension, we're going to put it in something a little more global. So we may even just have sort of an exception helper class. We may even just make it a helpers class, which exists in almost every code base. But feel free to abuse me if you don't like what I'm currently doing. So we're going to have a public static class helpers. And instead of Pokemon, actually let's yank the body of this function. Actually we'll do the other one as well. We've got a few, haven't we? Gross. Okay. Let me know if the music's too loud, not loud enough. Doesn't do it for you. I should explain what Pokemon is, shouldn't I? So I'm not going to call it Pokemon anymore. So what I'm just going to do is call it try. And the reason why I'm calling it try is because that's effectively what we are attempting to do. We're trying to do something, but we effectively don't really care what it is that we're trying it on. I'm going to get rid of this. Action that takes the TLA. Okay, so all I'm doing is a very simple refactor. And I'm going to make it a little more readable. So let's have a look at where we use this Pokemon pattern, which is pretty awful, let's not lie. So what we want to do, instead of file tld.pokemon, we basically want to go helpers try, and we're going to give it file tld, and then we're going to give it an action that takes f. And this should effectively do the same thing, right? I'm hoping that in reading this becomes a little more understandable. So we're just going to try this piece of code, and we're effectively trying and ignoring, because the exceptions that are thrown are just getting caught. And in the case of where we're handling, or we're going to pass in functions that return a result, we support the idea of having a default result that's returned if you end up with an exception being thrown along the way. You've all gone quiet very quickly. Is it already too much to bear? I hope. Anyway, so a little bit of refactoring, but nothing too sinister, right? So let's do this. What we might do actually is whack a little macro in here. So we'll go helpers.try. And we'll go dt dot, and then we'll go $a cf thingo. And let's stop there. And let's see if that actually worked. So if we go at q, Ah, look at that, beautiful. So what's interesting about this too is that in some cases I'm not actually referencing the value that's passed in. So I should be doing that in that particular case. Do we do the same here? F? Yes, we do. The other way of doing it would be to go, if we took this out and put that in there, because then that makes it just a little more obvious. So we're going to try and get that TLV out, and when it comes out, we'll bind it to F. There. Mourning the loss of our Pokemon. Yeah, I know. Look, it was kind of fun, but it really wasn't good. It was poor coding. It was fun. We had our laughs, but yeah, not exactly what we should be doing. So let's go. Try. Do the same here. I think having this notion of catching the exception and chucking it away in our case does actually make sense, but yeah, calling it Pokemon really wasn't acceptable. Pokemon. Okay, where else do we have it in process? So thankfully it hasn't riddled our code with anything. Ooh, what's going on here? So that's basically what we want, right? We'll do the same again here. I think that was it. So then in our extensions, we can get rid of this. Oops. Any questions about this, by the way? Don't want the Pokemon company suing OJ. Yeah, that's a good point. Well, feel free to fork the code, Owl, and change it to I don't give a here as well. Ooh, I need to add a reference at the top of this one, don't I? Add existing item. Ooh, no, not new folder. Add existing item. Interpreter 35 helpers. Add as a link. So that should at least give us the ability to build all things, and hopefully there won't be any errors. Hooray! So Pokemon has died a death, which is exactly how it should be, right? Bitwise, I'm trying to avoid using WinAPI through PInvoke, but unfortunately, there are too many cases where we kind of have to, and that's making me sad. In fact, that's another area of general tidying that I do intend to do, but I think I might even just get to the point where we'll use PInvoke where it's absolutely necessary, and then I'll go through the process of abstracting that myself, possibly off stream, possibly on stream. We'll see. We've already had a bit of an exercise around how you could generically PInvoke using dynamic assemblies rather than having PInvoke baked in to begin with. It's hard to know at this stage what the pros and cons of those things are, but we'll dive into that again at some point, I'd say. So. Stupid code in Windows and stupid code in .NET. Not giving us consistency across the Win32 API, so we don't have to PInvoke. That's the thing that's kind of upsetting me the most at the moment. I'm not going to lie. Anyway, let's kick off a shell and make sure we haven't broken anything. Still got my listeners running. I actually updated Ruby versions recently, so I'm running on the latest version of Ruby as we speak. Okay, we can get process listings still, can we? Yeah, we can. Okay, so that seems to be working. PWD, LS. Our LS actually works better than the native one, doesn't it? What are you working on? Mugu, we are... I was just going through a very slight refactoring process, mate. Just to get rid of some stuff that I didn't really like. And now it's up to us what it is that we decide to do. I mean, actually, you know what? Let's kick off the session again. See what we've got. We've added a fair bit of functionality so far, but I'm not sure which. I mean, the big gaps that we've got at the moment are in channels. So all of the port forwarding stuff, all of the file opening stuff, the editing features, downloading, all relies on channels. So we're getting to the point where we absolutely have to do that. But in the meantime, I'm wondering if there is something else that we can do to get some more features in, just to pad things out a little bit more. And maybe we'll just dive into the balls of the channel stuff in the next one. Did we ever get to the bottom of if config? Yeah, we did. It would appear that we did. Oh, no, we didn't. That's right, we had some issues with netmask. We've got a to-do around the netmask related stuff, haven't we? Yeah. We'll come back to that too. What is going on here? This play command. Play an audio file. Nothing written for disk. So this play command we haven't actually implemented, right? Yes, that's right. We have a bunch of stuff to do around that. Let's see what we put in to do as per. Oh, yep, supporting changing transports. Oh, multiple transports. Maybe we can build the HTTP transport. Remove this case down the track. Implement this. Loading extensions. Do we actually need to do this? Oh yeah, that's loading extensions from the stageless version. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So we currently have the ability to, we haven't got stageless payload related stuff happening just yet. So we'll come back to that. But clearly we have the ability to load extensions on the fly. We just currently don't do it from stageless payloads. So that's fine. We will come back to that. This needs to be a dedicated command. So that's another to do. What do we got in here? Fill this in when I can be bothered. Search. Ah, yes. Should we go through the pain? Like, searching is going to be a pain in the ass. It's more PInvoking and all that sort of thing. So, core channel open. Yeah, what do we do with core channel open? We got another follower. Prezakas420. Thank you very much for the follow. It's very kind. Yeah, core channel open is something that we're going to have to do pretty soon too. Not going to lie, I'm nervous. Move this to a channel manager. Oh, yeah. This config. What do we got? Validate that this works correctly when you impersonate users or use get system. Yeah, that's right. We do have it to do. And we have this other thing that we need to do on a domain joined machine, which I don't currently have access to. So yes, that is something that we do need to do. Cool. Okay, so what do you guys want to do now? Should we go and have a quick look again through the source code of standard API and see where the gaps are and continue to plug things in? I think that personally, I think that's the better option at this point. What do you guys reckon? Suggestions? Yeah, sounds good. I think that's what makes the most sense, to be honest. Now we need to gvim. What do we need to do? We need to go and have a look at librex post meterpreter. Let's have a look at. We're not going to do the packet pivoting stuff just yet. Extensions, standard API. Oh, where was that? You know what we need to do? Ag, standard API. Where's the play? That didn't work. It did not work as I wanted it to. Let's have a look. Standard API net mic, FS audio output. Let's have a look at what this says. Here we go. Upload a file and play it. Oh, look at this. It needs channels. What a surprise. Bitwise has subscribed. Tier 1. Thanks, man. I appreciate your support. You are, as always, a legend, and your support's very much appreciated. Thank you, mate. Still really interested in the dynamic PInvoker, but if you're not using that method, then yeah, sounds good. Well, I am actually keen to do that, to be honest. I would rather not have PInvokes lying around, so yeah, we'll get to it, and that is something that I would like to really make a good solid decision on sometime soon. Neomorphed, thank you for the follow. Very kind of you. Glad to have you on stream. Yeah, so by the looks of it, we need to be able to support channels. And channels are really a complex beast. So maybe we should put it in the diary to name name a day that we're going to get into channels and just deal with it. We might even have to do that next week. Archbishop, PInvoke. PInvoke is short for platform invoke, and it's the way that .NET invokes Win32 API functions directly. Let me show you an example just quickly. So under extensions, file system, sorry, not extensions, I don't want extensions, we want file system feature. I don't even remember what we put this in here for, but we'll come back to that. Oh, we need to look at standard API. So standard API sysconfig, for example. See how we've got this DLL import here? We're basically saying we want a function called RTL get version that exists in this DLL, and this is what it's expecting. So we're effectively saying we're going to expose a .NET function that binds directly to a function inside a DLL. That's what PInvoke means. Yeah, PInvoke.net is where you go to find a crap load of signatures, half of which don't work. In fact, more than half. Or they're slightly wrong, or they use ref instead of out, or out instead of ref, or there's all these nuances that you tend to have to tweak, but yeah, shush. I should shush. I agree. Shushing would be good. So maybe what we could do is move these, all of these horrible platform invoke functions out into a separate class, so that we're not actually littering our namespaces with them everywhere, because we've got a lot of DLL imports, right? Yeah, see, that's just gross. We've got this command handler. Hang on, where is it? This one here. We do have a stack of code in here that we will end up reusing. Yeah, maybe we could just nicely move all that sort of stuff into a separate namespace or whatever. We could even divide it up based on the DLLs, but if we're going down the path of talking native at some point via I don't know. Yeah, so that's basically what we're trying to avoid. We don't want to call directly out API calls because that can be a bit obvious that we're doing something sinister. But you know, maybe we should sort of have for now a native sort of wrapper. What do you guys think? If I created a folder called native and we had a representation for each of these DLLs that we're relying on, and we can just invoke functions directly inside those DLLs that way, it at least abstracts things just a little bit. Yeah, PInvoke create a remote thread, exactly. Horrible. Just horrible. Here's what I'm thinking of doing. Add a new folder. I'm not going to call it PInvoke. So if we added a new class called kernel32 to make it really obvious. Public static. So here we've got a couple of references to kernel32, right? So here's one of them. Let's take that out and we'll put it in here. I need to add some support for interrupt service services and things like that. So that's the isWow64 process. We've got another one here which is close handle. I have to make that internal. Does everyone here know what the difference between internal and public is? For some reason this is still in my playlist. Skipping. Because I hate that. Merry Christmas indeed. Such an awful song. I think that was pretty much it. I know there's another one here. So let's take that out. Shove it in here as well. Anyone out there want to give me an opinion on what internal means versus public? Anyone? 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 Cannot contain members such as field names or method intern, static, extern, UN. Yes, it can. We just did it. No, we got it in the wrong spot. It needs to be there. Similar to old private public. Well, there is public, there's private, there's protected, and there's internal. Public is accessible for any class or member. That's correct, Bitwise. And what about internal? Right. So public and internal are exactly the same except for one thing. A public method is exposed outside of the assembly. Internal is exposed to every other class inside the current assembly. So it's public just to the assembly, whereas public means public outside of the assembly. Does that make sense? So the question is, if we're going to rely on exposing these, the assembly will be the DLL, for example, okay? So in this case, metserv is the assembly, or standard API might be the assembly. So in our case, if we're looking to expose this to standard API, these are going to have to be public. You are welcome. Is this a Vim mode? Yes. Come on, Bitwise, you know the answer to that. Vim or die, my friend. Vim or die. Okay, so let's get rid of these. Get rid of that. And that's going to complain because now what we need is native dot kernel 32 dot core dot native dot kernel 32 core dot native dot kernel 32. So it does make it a little bit gross, but it is what it is, right? I don't have a problem with sort of bundling these into a single location. Because they could get used in other contexts, and I don't really like the idea of littering PInvoke stuff all over the place. I'd be happy for it to be part of core, because then it is exposed everywhere. Okay, so with that in mind, what can we do? We can't quite get rid of these things yet, because we've got other DLLs that we need to get rid of. Let's get rid of that one, and that one. Look for the errors. Core.native.kernel 32 is what we want. Where's the other error? Here we go. Excuse me. Man, this tea is good tonight. I nailed the brew. Pretty happy with that. Ah, yes. Okay, so I need to do the same thing with .NET 4. So we go add new folder, native, and then add existing item, native kernel 32, add as link. Okay, makes sense. Alrighty, now let's go and quickly clear up these other ones. fine. Core.native.kernel32. Yep, looking good. We'll leave all that other stuff in there. Now, we don't have any more kernel 32 stuff outside of kernel 32. So let's move to the next one, which looks like it's going to be the advanced API. Yeah, I would agree with that, Apple. We're going to have to sort of put our own wrappers in it though, which is a bit shizen. Add class. So I'm going to use the standard of just capitalizing the DLL name and having everything else lowercase. So this would be add vappy32. Now my guess is that we're going to use the same imports as kernel 32. Let's grab these out. Now, there's a couple of objects in here we're going to have to take with us. Oh, this is a bit annoying. Crypticode flag, string flags. What is this one supposed to be? Crypt provider type. Crypt provider type. Hang on, let's do this the easy way. It's hardly worth it, isn't it? Now, internals again need to be changed to public. Hey, Philly's back. How you going? What do you think about the 80 character line limits? All of my programming courses have them in Style Guide for assignments. You know what I think? The days of being stuck in a console with 80 characters are pretty much gone. And I don't really have a problem, particularly in contexts like this, where things are a little bit long. Now, you know, having said that, you can see I've wrapped a couple here because they are a bit. I think it's down to personal preference, and I think you can leave it to your intuition, to be perfectly honest. What do you think? My length limit is, yeah, that's right, monitor res. So I've got an ultra wide, which isn't, I'm not streaming from because I only stream out of a virtual machine for obstacle reasons. But yeah, getting docked some style marks for my Java assignment because I didn't correctly configure the line length. Oh, really? That's bollocks. Sounds to me like the lecturer is just looking for things to moan about, man. That's poor. I think it's a good rule to follow about. Yeah, look, that's the thing. If you're writing code that's yourself, that where the lines are that long, then maybe, you know, rethink. But in this, usually what it means is if your lines are that long, something is going wrong. Here, we kind of don't have the choice of dealing with a function this big because it's the Win32 API. And we're trying to invoke it. So, yeah. It doesn't have my blessing, shall we say. Now, did we take, yeah, we did take that out. What happened there? Build succeeded? Did we not even use those functions? Hang on, crypt destroy key. Oh, I remember this. I think we created these things, but we didn't end up using them, so we may well have just scored some dead code that we can get rid of. Because we are we using this? Public key dir? Yeah, we're using that. And we're using that. We are using, oh, hang on a second. Where is that being used? We are using this, aren't we? Yep. Yep, public key blob say? So if I renamed that, where are we invoking that from? Oh yeah, okay. So we are using that one. There is some code in here that's definitely not being used, and I want to know what it is. Yeah, that's still being used. It might actually be tempting to leave this class alone, and the reason why I'm saying that is because I think we stole this, didn't we? Redistribute source code must retain our copyright, which we're doing. Redistribute for binary form, which we're not doing. We might just have to leave this alone, yeah. Let's see where this advapi32 is being used. So that is the only place that it's being used at this point. Oh no, here we go, process extensions. So my guess is that we are going to see this being used a little bit more anyway, so we'll keep it, but only for this purpose. So core.native.kernel32. So it's kernel 32. We want advapi. Add existing item. Advapi. Add as link. Okay, so this is going to be our exception for now because we are clearly using a butchered form of some open source stuff, and it's probably a good idea to just leave that alone at least for this stage. Yeah, was that? Have we got more Christmas stuff going on? I didn't even notice. Sorry about that. Okay, NTDLL. We might do that one next. Add class NTDLL. Public static. And let's go. Delete. Process extensions. So we'll grab this, shove it in here. Make this one public. Now, parent process utilities. We're going to need to. Oh, hang on. That's pretty interesting, isn't it? We're going to have to do this. Take the whole thing out. Make that public. Add some more of the references. Now, return core.ntdll.parent process utilities.getParentProcess. Now we need to add that to the native section as well. Add existing item. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly how I did, mate. Okay, let's do that search for advapi, not advapi, ntdll. Sysconfig. RTR get version. Man, we had some fun with that crap, didn't we? Whew. Put that in here. Is that still process extensions? No, it was in Sysconfig, wasn't it? RTL OS version info EX. Is that something that I just got rid of? Stupid thing, go away. Yeah, there we go. So this can't be internal, it needs to be do that? Really? New. Let's be 100% specific what we're doing. Oops. Sometimes the undo feature of this doesn't do so well. So here instead we want to go core.native.ntdll.rtl get version. Okay, that's better. Build. So this is from my assignment, right? I set the line limit to 80. There's 2 style guide violations because I have because of the line limit. You can't say that I could have done much better. I love university. I did have a lot of fun at university, not gonna lie. It was a very, very long time. Just so you know. Okay, so that's all good now. So let's find DLL import again and we'll see where we got to. Ignore command handler, ignore RSA crypto, ignore the native extensions. What have we got left? Excuse me. We have filesystem.cs. Right, so we might even add flags here. So let's just take this out. Create a add class NPR. Let's just put that in here. Public static class. Alright, so public enum. This is going to be and what is it? It's info level. Is it info level the passing? Looks like it. Yeah. Info level. Yep. Shove that in there. Should be able to go, and that we don't want to generate that, we want to go core.native.mpr. We've got another case of internal. Public static external. There we go. core.native.mpr.info. Oh, now that's interesting, isn't it? I think that what that's saying is that the info level is different to the we want to return some kind of result. Get the universal name of the result. So we might get rid of that and call this a get universal name result. So then that should be able to is this public? Yes, it's public static, public enum. Get universal name. Core.native.mpr. info level. Universal name info level. Why is that complaining now? It's not happy. Oh, it's existing item. NPR as link. My hot tip: follow the style guide and make sure your code works. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much all those things. Oh, subversion. Who uses that? Welcome to uni again. They're always antiquated. It's upsetting. Cannot implicitly convert. That's true. Oh, let's go var. That would make more sense, wouldn't it? And then we can hopefully just cast that to an int. Quarter, make it info level. It's pretty messy. Anyone got any questions of what we're doing here? We're doing a bit of a lame refactoring exercise, but I think it's worthy. Test-driven tests. So hopefully our DLL imports now should all be in native. Yep. And so we reference PInvoke outside of that. In some cases, it probably make a lot more sense to abstract that just a little bit more, but I think that's enough to begin with. Splat, that should be the same response / feedback that you get on every single Java assignment ever. Or any, here we go, I'm going to get my soapbox now. Any imperative code at all. I understand the irony of what I'm saying, given that I'm currently writing a large, messy program using an imperative programming language. Okay, so that's given us a little bit of tidiness, which I think was very much required. Now, there's one other thing that has been bugging me for a little bit of time, and that is this. So let's, hang on, is that going to work? It's not going to work, is it? Because I don't have the listener up. But more importantly, when I kick this off, I want to have a look at something. So we have this, right? Now that should be our platform architecture combination, right? Going back to what we were kind of going to be doing before, like we got CLR2 and CLR4 that we're actually targeting. And the platform is actually Windows, but the architecture is CLR. The problem that we've got though is when we look at architecture here, it says that it's 64-bit, which it actually is. And this is where it's going to be a little bit confusing because, like in the case of, Python, we would see Python Windows or Python Linux or Python OS X. We should actually see like CLR2 Windows. I think that would make the most sense. What do you guys think? Agreed. I agree too. So that's something that I think is worth playing with a little bit. We may even do that on a separate stream because maybe we can do that now. This is going to require a bit of reworking of what it is that we've done, and it will also solve the problem of the sharing of the binary suffix. So I think I might even change that. We have another follower. Rukas. I have no idea how to say that name. I'm going to say Ruka or Rukas. Thank you for the follow. It's very kind of you. So how about this, right? Let's get rid of this. Now we've got two sides of the equation here. I really want to solve this problem because it has been eating away at me a little bit. So how about we go into, we'll go to, hang on, modules, payloads. We're going to go to stages. Now here we need to go into CLR, and we've got reverse TCP. So what I want to do here, I'm going to leave the payload and whatnot the same. Most of this is going to be the same, but what I want to do is change this to effectively like CLR 2.0 and have CLR 2 and CLR 4 is basically where I'm going to go. So does that make sense to you guys? So our architecture will be CLR, but the platform should still be Windows, if that makes any sense. You guys with me? Because like if we had a look at, let's go edit Python reverse TCP. You can see, platform is Python and architecture is Python, but these actually get updated kind of on the fly. So this would mean that we'd have to go into the Rex-Arch and change architecture so that there were multiple types. And herein lies the problem. We don't really care about whether we're Python 2 or Python 3 because the payload is multiple. But we kind of care in the CLR world. Ugh. I do kind of feel like they're different things. Well, one day we'll be doing this for .NET Core. Well, maybe. And is this the best way to go? Like, part of the problem that we've got here is that we're unable to detect this on the fly until we have UUIDs, but even then up front we don't know. We still need to be able to generate payloads that will run. Now, a .NET 2 payload will run in .NET 4 if the .NET 2 runtime is installed alongside it, but you can't run a .NET 4 binary inside a .NET 2 application. It'll just shit itself. So, one more up-to-date distribution like ours from Debian Python is Python 3 instead of Python 2. Yep, agreed. So I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm unsure as to what to do here. And I don't necessarily want to go down the path of having CLR2 and CLR4 as different payloads, only to have it kind of have to unwind. This is a real grey area for me. This is where I feel like I'm bashing my head against the framework a little bit more than I would like. And it's literally just a case of identifying the right platform architecture combinations, bearing in mind that we should in many ways mimic what the Python thing is doing, because it's kind of ignorant of whether something is 64 or 32-bit. So yeah, I'm at a bit of a loss. A little bit of a loss as to what it is we should be doing here. Would love to hear your thoughts / opinions. What do you guys reckon? Thoughts, anyone? We've got 23 people on stream. It's lovely to have you all. You're all very quiet. Is it because you're as scared as me of committing? What is the worst case of leaving it as is? There are a couple of cases. So one is we don't really have the ability to wire in one CLR versus another when a connect back comes in. We don't have that ability yet, and we wouldn't have that until UUID related stuff comes in. And even then, that doesn't solve the problem that we have. Up front, we need to be able to say that we're expecting a listener of a certain kind so that we can bind a CLR version to the listener. That's effectively it. So here's what I'm going to do. Hello, who we got here? I'm the Fat Man. I'm the Fat Man. Are you the Fat Man? We're doing great, my friend. How are you? Thanks for joining in on stream. How's your stuff going? What are you up to? My Buster still provides Python 2.7 as Python. So, if we did this, if we moved CLR to CLR2, right? Oh, my camera froze, did it? Is it still frozen? Looks like it's going okay to me. I'm going to go CP-R CLR2 CLR4. Right? Now, platform for this one, reverse TCP, which is CLR2, I'm going to go do this. Excuse me. I have to do the same thing up here. Right? This is going to be CLR4. 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 Pretty gross, right? I think this, to begin with, will actually make a lot more sense. CD stages. Move. Get MV CLR CLR2. Let's open these up. Okay, so this is where it's going to get fun, right? This thing up here. So that's going to be platform CLR. What are we on here? This is CLR2. So we're going to have to go in and change. We're going to have to change what the what is it called? The Rex-Arch architecture mix-in slash gem does. Only getting audio, a little refresh. Just turn down stream quality. It's good now. I don't know why it does that. It's only with certain streams. Maybe it's because yeah, I stream at a fairly high res. Maybe I should fix that or something. So anyway, let's just do this for 4. And then we need to figure out what we're going to do as far as this bit, this session stuff is concerned. Because if we look at, where are we? We haven't done singles yet, so that's okay. So we go cd lib MSF, and we go into, is it core? CD session. No. Base. Of course it's base, isn't it? Sessions. Here we go. So we've got architecture followed by platform. So what I think, see here we've got, where are we? Python has like Meterpreter Python. Instead of Meterpreter Python, it just has Meterpreter Python. So what we should probably do is, instead of having Meterpreter CLR, we should have Meterpreter CLR, in this case, 4. Now we do know that this is going to be sitting on Windows. So we could just do CLR win. And then we can do the same thing here for win, which kind of does imply that it is going to live on Windows. The problem is that we haven't actually specified that the architecture or the platform that it's sitting on is Windows. So should we be getting rid of this win? That should be 2, shouldn't it? Should we be getting rid of this Win extension? Or should we be changing this platform to Windows? You know what I mean? I kind of feel that it should be that. What do you guys think? Does that make sense? Platform should be Windows. That's what I think too. So that means we will have to go back to code, Metasploit framework, modules, payloads, no, not singles, stagers. And then, so we've got it here as well, right? This should be Windows. That actually makes a lot more sense to me, to be honest. Nonsens, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Drafty chimes in with an opinion. It's good to see you, mate. Thanks for coming in, as always. It's lovely to have your company. Okay, so CD. Okay. So what do we want to do? We needed to go back into lib MSF base sessions. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to git move this one to Meterpreter CLR2.rb, and I'm going to copy that to CLR4, and then I'm going to gvim Meterpreter CLR star. So binary suffix in our CLR2 is net35. So now we can get rid of this. Right? Base platform here should be Windows. Base arch is CLR2. Oh, I've missed something here. This needs to be CLR2. And then get rid of that. We can get rid of this to do now because we should be able to have .NET 4.0. Yeah? Which makes a fair bit more sense. Base platform needs to be Windows. Base arch needs to be CLR. Does that make sense? We've missed something here. Hey Eric, didn't see you in earlier, mate. How you doing? Alright, so with that out of the way, if we go back now to... I know I'm bouncing all over the place, sorry about this. CD modules, payload, no, not payloads. Yeah, payloads, stages. And open these up again. So here we've got Meterpreter, this will be CLR2. Forgot to change the include here. CLR2. Now, I don't know whether you guys remember, but CD code, we've got to go CD, is it Rex-Arch? Now, we've got a gvim lib rex-arch.rb because in here, you probably remember, we have arch CLR, which is no longer valid. We need arch CLR2 and we need arch CLR4. So that's important. The really shit thing though is that we're going to have to also gvim, because I don't want to go and deploy a new Rex gem, I need to be able to do something else. Wow, thanks for the resub, Eric. You are a legend, my friend. Appreciate your support as always. To be honest, this is wizardry and all I know is ping enter. Well, I'm the fat man. if you have any other questions, I'm happy to answer them. There's a stack of people on stream that have a superb amount of knowledge as well. So if you get lost or you need some clarification, post your questions and I'm sure someone will be happy to help you. We're all about the learnings here. And if you like, feel free to jump on the Discord channel and ask questions in there as well. And we can do that off stream if you're interested in ramping up on the stuff that we've been doing behind the scenes. RBenv versions lib ruby gems. Is that where we need to go? No, gems. Nope, Rex-Arch. So this is basically what I've been cheating. Rex-Arch.rb. So I need to do the same thing in here. Excuse me. Oops. 4. CLR 4. Okay, so that allows us to, bypass all the issues that we have with redeploying of gems, and we'll come to fixing that up down the track, right? So here what we need to go back up to root, and then we can ag arch CLR and see where we're missing things. Here we go, Meterpreter loader. So we need to open that up, and we need to open up the UID thing. Okay, so what do we got here? We've got our Meterpreter loader lives in MSF called payload CLR, so we need to change that up as well. So that's going to be CLR2, that's going to be CLR4. Now we don't actually have a CLR platform anymore, do we? Question is, like, do we specify a platform? Maybe we can put CLR2 and CLR4 here as a platform for now, even though we're not actually going to use it. And I'll come back to that, because that could actually be encoded. This looks like a sort of map between the two, doesn't it? Zeros nil Windows netware, and oh no, it doesn't actually have to be there. So let's get rid of that. $27. Yeah, they're different things. So Arch CLR is what we're looking for. Okay. So we do need to change the Meterpreter loader. Let's quickly duck in here. Now we need to, what do we need to do? We need to cp-r, no, git mv CLR, CLR2. Now there's a CLR.rb as well, right? So what's in here? This class is here to implement advanced variable CLR-based payloads. We're going to have to do the same thing here, aren't we? We actually don't need this anymore. Let's just be consistent for now. So we'll get mv CLR.rb to CLR2.rb. We'll vim CLR2.rb. I'm going to get rid of this bit here because we don't need the CLR version set anymore, because that is implicit in what it is that we're doing. So that's going to be CLR2, and that's going to be CLR2. Plus the implement advanced variables. Okay, let's get rid of that. Now we can copy CLR2.rb to CLR4.rb. And let's open that up. It's pretty much exactly the same, but unfortunately that's the nature of the game. we go CP-R CLR2 to CLR4, CD CLR4, platform is Windows Arch CLR, where are we for? I don't like the copy pasta, so we are going to leave this for now. And we'll look to refactor this down the track. Whoa, a bit of discussion. Pentest use Rask and client systems. Yeah. Best way to get password is to ask for it. Did you just like pass in an OTP or a password there, Archbishop? So we don't want CLR version. We want net.oro.dll. That's Arch CLR4. Windows. Oop. We also need to change this. Ah, look at this, include them. That's what we need to do. We can get rid of CLR2 and 4 because they're effectively the same, right? Acquire core payload CLR. Yeah, I think I'm going to remove that duplication from the parent because it's functionally exactly the same. Is that right? CLR2.rb. What has that got in it again? It does kind of specify that we need the Meterpreter loader in it though. So maybe we just need to deal with it. Yeah, let's just leave it for now. We'll leave it for now. Payload CLR. Which one's this one? 4. CLR4, CLR4, CLR4. And we'll look to refactor this into some magic at some point soon. Yeah, that should be okay. Patch the length. Yep. And what was in here? Payload CLR4. This is a good tune. Okay, we can leave this stuff alone as well. CLR2. Open these babies up. Payload, that'll be CLR2 as well. CLR2, platform, Windows, CLR2. This is gonna break stuff, you know that, right? I know it, you know it, we all know it. Net 20. Payload CLR2, payload CLR2, generation for Windows, Arch, CLR2. And everything else should remain the same. Does that mean that I need to change a comment in this one? Yeah, there you go. CLR4. Okay, so how much shit do you reckon we've just broken? I reckon we've broken a lot. I Let's see what happens. All the shit's broken. Yeah, I'm telling you, we've broken a lot of shit by doing what we've just done. If it works, I will be amazed. Let's just tag CLR. It's not really what I wanted. Let's not do that. Let's pretend that didn't happen. Did pick up on some stuff. CLR2, CLR4. Ooh, this is wrong. I'm actually really glad we did that. We need to open this. And we need to open this. Because we no longer have CLR as a platform. Oop. Okay, so the module payload CLR2. Net 2.0.dll. We do not have CLR as a platform anymore. Man, we are so dead. GVim, modules, exploits, multi-handler. Remember what we did in here? CLR's in here as well, we need to get rid of that. I dread to think how bad this is going to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the local 3.5 to just local.rc, and we're going to gvim local.rc. So, because what I want to do here is, they're the two natives, but I also want to have CLR2, and we'll have CLR4, and we'll put that on 7. And so, inside our test console.net 4 program, now, in our conditional compilation, let's just do this. Now, cache, where is it? Here we go. That's what I want. An example of this. Else. So if it's .NET 3, what we need to do is make sure that we have the conditional compilation in here. Don't even remember where we did that in MetServe, but it'll be in here somewhere. Conditional compilation symbols. Is it standard API that has it? Where did we put it? Any ideas, folks? Do you guys remember? I'm just using Monstercat at the moment. It's, I'm the fat man. Monstercat Gold. Probably one of my favorite hacking videos on YouTube is when you got trap hacker. Probably everyone. Oh yeah. That's not cool. Not cool at all. Any CPU. I could have sworn that we put a conditional compilation in for .NET 4 on here. Was it standard API? But there it is. all configurations. So for standard API, .NET 4, that needs to stay the same. And then properties, yeah. Okay, that makes more sense. I was just not opening all projects. Okay, so that means that if we run, I'm just going to build that. So they should all be built. Let's kick off a listener. Console, and we're going to kick off a listener for both. Now, this will either just work magically or break horribly. It's broken. It's broken. Following modules could not be loaded. Okay, so let's do the old grep shenanigans. Tail dash F. MSF or logs. Oh, look at that. It's glorious, isn't it? Watch it shit itself. Okay, so failed to load you the following loader. I cannot find such file. Ah, did I get that wrong? Yep. That needs to be 2. No. That needs to be 4. And that needs to be 4 as well. Payload needs to be CLR 4. Arch CLR. Blah, blah, blah. That makes a little bit more sense. So let's do the same thing for CLR2 to make sure that this is correct. CLR2. Okay. Let's try that again. Something else broke, but oops. 2 name error, uninitialized constant CLR. Did I get that wrong as well? That's interesting. CLR Meterpreter loader. Okay, that makes a bit more sense. So we messed up the Meterpreter loader in here as well. Include payload CLR4. Let's make sure that this is correct as well. CLR2, so it has it there. Excellent. Ooh, it's taking a bit more time. Close. We got very close. Failed because it was unable to load. Same thing. So it's in here. Let's open up both the stages. Yep, there it is. CLR2. Tail. Getting close. Getting close. Bitwise. Nah, can't run that risk. Ooh. Ooh. Look at that. We have listeners. People, we have listeners. How exciting. Okay, so if we're running test console net 3.5, we should still get a shell. Nah. Oops. So what happened here? Nil. Okay, so what happened here? We can't convert nil to string. Let's bin this instead. So which line was that on? 65. It's not net 2.0, is it? Who let me do that? Should be net 3.5 and the other one should be 4.5, right? Or is it 4.0? Net 4.0, yeah. Okay. Is it going to work? Ooh. CLR2 Windows. Well, well, well. Have I stopped counting them? No, mate. Still got them in there. Like if I go to the, I think my OPSEC stream, you should see part 26. Okay, so let's flick over then to .NET 4. There we go. Build. It's doing something. CLR 4. Now, I'm actually really interested in this because I want to see the modules window. MSF 4, I want to see standard API please before. Yeah, there we go. So now we're actually loading the correct version. That's exactly what I wanted to see. I feel a bit cleaner now. What do you guys think? I think that's pretty good. So let's run that again for a second. I'm going to do the sysinfo thing. Yeah, I think that's better. Yeah, I think it looks a bit nicer too. That's right. Okay, so now we have our Arch is x64 and Meterpreter is CLR4 on Windows. I think that's what should be the case. I think that feels a bit better. I'm happy with that. This is something that's been grating on me for a little while. So I'm happy that we've put a little bit of effort into tidying this up a bit. Yeah, we kind of have to forcibly choose a CLR version, but I think that's something that we have to do anyway. So yeah, let's stick with that. I think that makes a lot more sense. PS thing still works. Come on. Yeah. Beautiful. I'm pretty happy with it. Okay. As you can see, like when this conditional combination thing works, it does actually spin up 447 and connect to the right listener. So that's cool. That's very cool. I'm happy. I'm happier. I'm happier than I was. Not 100% happy yet, but I think we're moving things in the right direction. And I think things were getting a little bit messy, and I'm glad we've taken a little bit of time to readdress some of the issues. Now, before we finish up, we've got about half an hour to go. Let's just quickly see if there is a quick win that we can get as far as a feature is concerned. Now, in order to do that, I'm going to have to run native assuming that still works. Yep. Now, what do we got in here? We obviously don't have a priv extension yet. We're not going to do play because that currently requires something else. Webcam. I get the feeling the webcam stuff is going to be a nightmare. There's a number of seconds the remote user has been idle. Maybe there's some... Maybe we can do something with the desktops. Pretty much got all of these except for Rev itself because we haven't really done anything along those lines just yet. We haven't got steel token. Suspends or resumes a list of processes. Maybe we could do that. Oh, plus there's the reg. We haven't done. Have we done reg? We haven't done reg yet, have we? We've done process. Ooh, reboot. Let's do reboot. Yeah, let's do reboot. We've got a lot of tabs open here, which I can probably close. Reboot. Let's do reboot. No, we're not doing migrate just yet. Migrate will actually be a complete stream in and of itself. There are a number of reasons why migrate is a quirky thing to dive into. Migration is a problem because the question then becomes, okay, when we migrate, do we inject an instance of this CLR if it's not already running and then migrate over to a CLR instance, or do we inject a native one when we migrate? Don't know. C# reboot. How do we do that? What's the bet? It says PInvoke. No. Okay, so we are going to have to PInvoke. Great. And we can do it through WMI, which is awful. We don't want to do that. You want to pass a second pass to a shutdown. Yeah. It looks like PInvoke. We are not doing WMI. Yeah, so much for a quick win, huh? God damn it. I think we're just going to have to do the PInvoke thing. It is still a quick win, it's just more PInvoke, which is just a bit shit. Add class. User 32. Public static class user 32. Let's take a copy of this. Oops. Include that. Public static extern bool, exit windows, flags, for a reason. So this other person clearly had put more into their answer. Oh. Exit windows. So that'd be the reason. Oh, that's the shutdown reason. What do we got here? Exit window. Let's have a look at the exit windows EX function. Flags. Okay, so the first is a set of flags, and the second one is the reason. Shutdown type. Okay, so it says flags and then it says shutdown type. So that should be shutdown type. Log off, power off, reboot, etc. Framework can optionally include one of those, and then the reasons are the system shutdown reason codes, which are these. So it looks like this person has at least made the effort to enumerate these kitties. That shouldn't be flags though, right? That kind of implies that you can do log off and shut down at the same time, which is pretty dumb. You should, I think that should be abstracted a little bit, but anyway. Let's just do it. Let's just do it. Uint exit windows shutdown reason. I'm not going to call this exit windows. I'm going to call this exit windows flags. So exit windows flags. We're going to call that just flags. And this will be shutdown reason. In fact, it's kind of tempting to change this from exit windows flags to shutdown flags, because we kind of shutdown flags, because we've got shutdown reason and shutdown flags, just to keep it consistent. So let's just do that. Why is that whinging? It's less accessible, that's true. This needs to be public. Okay, so now we need to expose reboot wherever that happens to be exposed. So let's quickly duck into CD code, Metasploit framework, ag, shutdown. So we'll do that in librex. Where are we at? Shutdown timer. We don't want that. Defi with 32. Stand API. Alright, let's cheat. Puppy, let's cheat in this puppy. Shutdown. Force a shutdown. Is there a reboot in here as well? Yeah, so we've got syspower exit windows. There's two of them, so shutdown and exit windows are both effectively the same. They use the same thing behind the scenes. Client sys power. Power! Client sys power. Anyway, the good thing about this is that if we go ag def shut. Bug biting my arm. So this should be in client core, dispatcher, client channel. Why am I not seeing anything? Oh, there it is. No. Net socket. I can't see anything in. Yeah, this is power shutdown. Is that a thing? Oh, there we go. So we want to edit librex post interpreter extensions standard API sys power. So there you go. We've got this exit windows function, which basically just passes the parameters in for flags and for reason, and then we send that off. So this is the thing that we want. Let's take that. Now it's got a class called power. Do we want to do the same thing? Shutdown reason, too much work, go home, you deserve it. Alright, let's add a syspower class. Now in the same way we do with sysconfig and everything, what do we do here? We've got a register function. Now, before we do this, also need to have the standard API plugin. Needs that. Oops. And then we can do the same here. So that registers class. Now we need this doohickey as well. So we need to say that we support it. This dot exit windows. Okay, let's take this puppy here. Exit Windows. Packet. Got to include that, don't we? Roto. Yes. Here we go. We got it. Interesting to see what the native one does. Because there's no doubt that rebooting Windows is clearly going to terminate your session. Here we go. Power.c. Okay, so what is it trying to do? It's trying to enable a privilege. Shutdown privilege. I wonder why it needs to do that. See how this is actually trying to enable the shutdown name privilege before it tries to shut things down. For now, I'm just going to call this, but I might drop this code in here just for the sake of posterity, because it's probably something we're going to need to care about. So, if we care, which we don't at the moment, let's just put that stuff in. And now what we want to do is we just want to call, we want to get the parameters out of the TLV packets. Type power flags and type power reason. Now I'm pretty sure we don't have these. Now what is that in? That's in standard API. We definitely don't have these. 410. Okay, so let's go back to our TLVs. Okay, so we're going to go standard API, power flags. That's going to be that. And 4100, and then power reason B101. Okay. Go back to power. You love it when you can't remember how to use your own code. And we want to make sure, I mean, if it's passed in, we're going to kind of assume that we're going to get those values, right? So we should be able to go var flags equals request.tlvs.try get value. So do we have another extension here? No, we don't. So we are looking for TLV type.standard API power. Why is that not there? Standard. Standard. Oops. There's a D in there. Flags. 0.value as D word. And we do have a what is that mention about? Does not contain standard API. Oh, yeah, it does. Does it? Ah, flags. There we go. So that should give flags as a D word, but we actually want to cast that to an enumeration, which we will do in a minute. Flags and then reason, power, reason. Okay. There's no power going to certain things, not going to work. Yeah, I would agree with Rasta. So we want to go core.native.user32.exitWindowsEX. I'm going to cast flags to that. And we'll do the same with the reason for the reason. And build. Alright, so we need to add links to the native as well. So we add an existing item, user32 as a link. Build. Syspower. I've got to add syspower as well, don't I? Add existing item. Standard API 3 syspower add as link. Build succeeded. Now, this could be pretty irritating, but I'm going to do it anyway. Okay, I'm just going to save, build. You ready? We can now shut down and reboot. Did it do a thing? Might not have worked. Exit Windows returns a result. Let's build that. Run it again. So flags, O2. Now if we do that, what is the result? Result is false. So I wonder if we can do like the get last error thing. I would assume that's got something to do with adjusting token privileges. So what we need is something that will allow us to nicely set a token privilege, which I think we're probably going to have to do next stream because we're running out of time, and I was kind of hoping for a quick win, and clearly I'm not going to have it. So we'll stop it there. When we come back, we'll probably put some time into some token manipulation functions, like something will allow us to go, right, I would like to go and modify a privilege on the current process, and probably wrap some of this stuff up in a nice little API that we can reuse, because there's no doubt we're going to be doing stuff with opening process tokens and whatnot sort of all over the shop. So if we put some time into building up some wrappers that allow us to list privileges on a process, enable a certain privilege on a process, then maybe we'll be able to do exactly what we're striving to do here. Either that, or like legitimately we're not allowed to do it from the current config. So maybe we need to be elevated in order to do that. Who knows? So yeah. Any questions? Any concerns? You hear a clicking sound. I don't know whether it's the music or something in the room. It's in the room. Okay, is this going to be all on the metal, so to speak? So you're going to build a UI around it. So Fatman, effectively there is no UI to this thing because the user interface is Metasploit. So we're just building a new version of the Meterpreter agent that will run inside Metasploit, but run inside the CLR and talk back to Metasploit in the same way that all of the other versions of Meterpreter does. So that's effectively what we're seeing. So with that, JDs and Lentilmen, I'm gonna put a kibosh on the rest of the stream until next time. I'm gonna try and do one a bit later on in the week, but I will have to deploy myself on site at some point, so I'm not sure whether I'm gonna have the bandwidth to do it. If I do, it might be on Friday. I'd also want to do the AMA session. So if you guys are keen for an AMA where we can sit down and just talk all the things, we can talk security, we can talk dev, we can talk about pretty much anything you want. So long as it doesn't take up the whole stream, I'm happy to try my best to answer. We can do pretty much whatever the hell you guys like. And that includes, like, if you're a noob, an absolute noob, and you just want to ask some absolute noob questions, there'll be some other people on stream that can help me answer. So, you know, it'd be good for those people who have questions that they don't normally want to ask on a stream like this. That's the stream for you. So let's make that happen. But thank you again to everyone for their continued support. Thank you to those people who subscribe and continue to support me that way. Thank you very much to those people who continue to support me on Patreon. I really do appreciate that. If you're looking to support me, you can find links all over the place. It isn't by any stretch a demand. It's completely optional, but it helps me do these things more often. So, but yeah, hit me up on Discord, hit me up on Twitter if you have any questions. But thanks again for hanging out. It's been fun as always. You're all a wonderful crew, and your support's really does mean a lot to me. So I'll see you guys later on the tubes, and in the meantime, be good to each other.